We come into a period of time. Everything has been turned upside down, and Christ has never made it through the seventh gate. He comes 8. 8 is from the outside. 7 is on the inside. It's a stretched out, not a 45-degree angle, but maybe, I don't know, about 135 degrees, because 2 times 135 degrees plus the angle of the 4 corners, because you've got to connect the 4 corners, and when you put a heart in, you give 2 more to man. He becomes the Magen David man, and his waistline is the Magen David. Only the center of the hockey puck of the Magen David. We come into the time where the beta world has come to extinct the division of who she is. She is automatically ABC 3 times 3. Because in this world it's 3 times 3. But in the other world you need an 88 because you have 4 corners. In order to hold open the circle to the vestige of your ability on the 4 corners, it'll give you a round of 90, 90, 90. That is your pi 9 of 4. In this world, you get an 8 for Neptune, because Neptune comes out and says, screw this. This one's worth 20, this one's worth 20. You put 2 of them on the Monopoly board, 20, 20, 20, 20, you got 40. The beta world, because everything is 2 times 2 equals 4. Mars, not so fast. There's been a change in the game, and things have been turned around because the Saturn talisman has showed to me that number 9 is in the 2 position where the 2 used to be. The talisman showed me the 4 is in the 1 position where the 1 used to be. The talisman has showed me that 2 is taken over corner number 3. 2 times 2 and 2 times 3 is Saturn and Mars. So when you take the dice, the question is, if we don't move number 1, Mercury, Mercury now connects with Mars instead of Mercury connecting with Saturn, in which Earth connected with Mars, and now Earth connects with Saturn. They twisted everything around. I'm trying to finish the design. It is the entire Monopoly board. We play the Monopoly board, we put Scrabble around it, and every single game that can fit into every single game is going to tell us at what coordinate something happened, because those were the rules of the game. 4 times 2, 3 times 2. 24 hours a day of 23 creation in the 2 worlds, which is all doubled and upside down because they got to square it off. It's got to be fair. You can't make it around. Who knows how nice your bubbles are? Breasts. Each breast's a mountain. The claws, the pinch. You have 2. You have number 5 and number 1. Or number 1 and number 5. Who is first? He's the first thumb, but he's the first finger. Who are you pointing at? Who is number 1? Who is what gun? What did you say? Number 1? Who's number 1? What gun? Gun 1? Ganja. Don't you know what happened to the ganja? They took away the ganja from you because they all know that if we're 3 and 3 into the 2 worlds, hooking up so we can live 1 world in the side, that is the water world, and your brain, your electronic brain, your mind, that's all over. That's a fish in the lake. You don't care if you get hooked by anybody, because once you come out, you get back to go home. You don't suffer a death. You flip around because the body wants to work, but your mind's in that fish and you're swimming in the tank. You're in my sex organs. You're number 9 in my sex organs. My sex organ is the pointer. It's the number 9 that shoots the number 1 into a circle of love. 910. 910 is also 510 of 512 megabytes. Whoop! I believe I'm sitting on them. They're in between my 2 legs. I guess they got good protection. But don't forget about the liver and the pearl. Where do we get gallstones from? Must be the pearl of the scratch that went through the head that missed the pineal gland, that didn't make it all the way because the little snail that was holding it couldn't catch up to the shrimp. But Jesus was the seahorse. Do you know why he was the seahorse? Christ. C-H. Horse. Christ. C-H. And it says first. I mean, don't you know what it is? You know what it is. Don't you know? It says like this. C-H. I mean, I did say we're like little, we got hooks, right? Because we're the sperm. But he's C-horse. It's a first because he doesn't need the O, because he sees over here when you see number 1, You know O and A are right there because number 1 gets O, A, and E. Do you know why? Here's my hand. This is the whole hand. Go all around, you got them all. But you don't have anything in unless you stand real tall. So you stick this one up like this. You would stick this one like this and this one like this. But at the same time you stick that like that, look where this finger is. So one of the discs are pointed that way. The middle disc, the big disc, these would be the other. The 1, the 3, the 5 would be holding another kind of disc, in which you don't need the pinky afterlife, because all you need is 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. But then you bring the pinky back in the game so that you can use the 1, 3, 5 to play another game. 2 times 2 equals 4th planet Mars. Forget about it. If you're doing anything in astrology, it's now Saturn. Okay? And 2 times 3 now is 6. That's where Mars was. Well, Mars now is where Saturn is, and vice versa. And the other thing they did is they flipped over they changed all the odd numbers for all the even numbers. They made a switch. First of all, they flipped it upside down. Okay? How did they flip it upside down? They took this cross, okay? They took this cross, okay? Hold on a second. They took this cross like this, right? And they went like this, turned it around this way. Then they flipped it this way. And after they did that, they did this. Because like this, you're actually sitting on Venus. But like this, you're sticking into the corners of Mercury and Mars. So they switched all the planets apart. Why? They had to. If they didn't, the spirit of 76 could not be born. Jesus was not born from out of this world, from the spirit world. Jesus was born and created in this world. He is the spirit of 76. And his birthday, which everybody knows is Space 44, because that's what we do right now at Space 44, 44 days before his birthday, okay, 44, because this is his bar mitzvah year. Because the Monopoly board is all total of 40. So you go 40 times the 50 center is the year 2000, 14 years for the cross on your back, but it's 13 years. Somehow we went backwards. I forgot. You start right away with the cross before you come into the world. So instead of being October 2014, we're actually going to see it November 11th to the 16th, 2013, whatever it is. Because Jesus is going to have his bar mitzvah. If you go from the 25th of December, 25 days, and then you go 14 days, is 39. 13, 13, 13 bar mitzvah. One more 13, you become man. So the 16th, November 16th, 2, 7. 1 and 7 makes 8. 2 and 7 makes 9. 1 and 2 own 8 and 9. The other world owns the rest. It's in between. What do they care? They're coming back home anyways. There's nowhere to go. You're all cooped up in the chicken house. We got dogs on all the corners, 26, and cats are out to play. Do you know what I smelt about my cat today? I hope I don't lose my place. Is that it stank. It stank so bad they shit in the house. It stank so bad, and I'm a farmer. And it stank so bad, I started to cry. Because it stank like cattle, milk cattles from the stable. They somehow intertwined with the dog. I'm quite sure, or is it the goat? And from one of these animals, they took the cat, and she buries her stuff, and she buries her stuff, because when she's in the stable, okay, they never bury any of the shit. And she's tired that the people don't bury her shit, okay, because she don't need that. So we're talking about November 16th. So that's 39 days. But that would be the 39 days for his bar mitzvah. We have to extend it out by the time he reached reading Railroad on the Monopoly game of Go. That would be 5 more days. That would be November 11th. November 11th is 2 and 2. 2 and 2 into the world. 2 and 2 space. 2 and 2 your space you occupy makes 6 because you got to be in this body. You're not the head. If you were only the head, you wouldn't need anything else. It would make 2, 2, 2. Because of the 8 heaven is 1776, and it's Jesus' bar mitzvah birthday between the 11th and the 16th. Which one is a Saturday? Oh my God. Oh my God. My nephew's bar mitzvah is on that time. Oh my God. He's going to be bar mitzvah 2 days before. Does that mean that Christ is coming? Because Jesus' numbers come up? Has the other side, are we going to talk about the evil? Is it them who have found that because what happens is Jesus was put on the cross, but let me get back to the 16th and on the 11th. Okay, the 16 equals 7, 1 spirit is 6, and the 11, it's like KP. When you make the KP, You put a hat from the number 6, the Chinese hat, over the K, it becomes the P, it becomes the KP, and once the hat is on, you need a leg to stand on in this world because it means the roof is above you. So it turns into an R. K, P, R, 11, 16, 7 and 2. You take the 9 birds with the 1 sperm of 91, you reverse it to find the totality of the difference, and you get 7 and 2. You get 7 and 2. Now my camera shut off twice, so I don't know if this is going to upload anymore. Now that you get 7 and 2, your 9 times 8 equals to your 7 and 2. So that makes good. Now you can't move the 7 because that's the highest one. 8 and 9 were made to make the 7. So you can't go 1, 2, 3. You have to go 4 and 5 and 6. So 2 times 2 that creates the actual Saturn is now 2 times 3 that creates the 6. The 6th door of 76. It is not 6, 7, 8. There is no 8th door. When you look at the 6, 7, 8 card, well, Jesus is the 7 card. He's not the 8th card. He didn't come from the other world. He only came from one world. He doesn't have the 2 worlds of himself, his spirit inside of him. So the 11th we have from here. November 11th to the 30th is 19 days. Man is on the moon. Then we have 8 days. Why? We carry out 7 days, which is the first part of the 20 days, the 28 days of the cycle of the 4 worlds of 2, 2, 2, and 2. It also creates the IRD to be third. It's third because it's the IR, and INR is the I-bot of the 7th gate of 6 man of the 1 spirit, which makes actually, this is here. I got 2 ends. I got a hole in the center, but I got something on the hole already. It's an X. So when I put my X, my circle or my square, okay, with my 4 corners and my X, wow, 4 corners and my X to my circle. This is the way I land in the next world, okay? This is the way I land in the next world. See the inside score? Now you can start building man, because you see this here? Watch me build man real quick. Do you see what man is? Watch. I forgot to put 1 stripe through the whole thing. I'll do it on 2 sides. Wow. What do you think about that? Wow. Well, there goes that note. There goes that note up in smoke. What do you think? I have 2 candles burning here. I'm going to have to be careful. So what happens is you have this, and it's the R letter. And the R's got a leg here and a leg here and just 1 deck down the center. He doesn't have 1 up, but he could have 1 up. When he starts to think, his antennas go up. His antennas go up here, and it goes up here, and it goes straight down his dick, right down to the middle of his legs. Because the easiest place to think is down below. Down below, where nobody goes and nobody bothers you. You're not outside. You're hidden away. I got to clean this up. Before I get in trouble. Just give me a second. Wow. The myth about burning candles and burning incense is that when you're incense, you don't actually need the candles to think. You don't really want the candles because they're a danger. You want the incense because there's something that goes out. You don't want a candle that lights forever. You will need to sleep in your life. You need to take it easy. So we have over here, okay, December 8th, 27 days, the letter I and R, 3 times 3 times 3. 1 more 3, you're back on Venus. The 21st is 40 days. This is completely around the board. December 21st this year, the Monopoly board, starting from go, comes to an end. And look at that, 13 days from the 8th. You know what the 8th is? I don't want to say this, but in my point of view, what I felt that night, my son was being born, she was having cramps, and as she was having her labor pains, I was sitting in a casual sport chicken and ribs, while the Minnesota Vikings were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the score that night, if I remember, was 27-14. 14 for the cross on your back, and 27 to jump into the world. 41. This is exactly what we're coming into in the next 60 days. in the next 60 days, if any of this work is reality, oh my God, praise the whole planet. Now, you know I'm only writing a book about numbers, so I like to get into it to show how I feel about it, because if I don't show you how I feel, how will you be able to believe your own self of what you want to feel? So I show you the whole of what I see, and you decide whether or not that hole should be dug out or filled in. I share because it's so much easier for somebody to come back and say something, but we're going to go back. We have to go back. I'm sorry. November 30th, November 11th, on the 14th of November, 11/14, it is the day of the cross. Why? 2 and 14, 2 and 5. When you get 2 and 5, 14, 11, and 14, you have 25 and 2 and 5, right? 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 2 and 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, because on the roulette board, 2 and 5 are right in the center, and 2 and 11 is the same thing. 1 and 1 is 2. Okay, so on the 14th, okay, the 14th, that will be 309th day of the year. 309th, the 14th. The 14th is the 309th day of the year. Now it's actually the 308th day of the year, but I gotta play everything in leap years. You know why? Because what's one day? Because it's not one day. It's only about 18 hours. And that's what our number is. 18 of a crustacean. 3 times 3 is 9. By 2, or 2 crustaceans. 3 and 3 is 6. Times 3, we're 3 crustaceans. And 1 for communication. Why shouldn't we eat the shrimp? Why don't we eat the pig? Because our sausage links and ham are not connected to the power of the angels. It is the split in the toe and the division of the nose that brings you into 2 sides and 2 visions. How is this nose supposed to be? So now we go back to December 8th. We have December 21st, and that's the 13 days of separation between 8 and 13 makes 21, which is the separation between the 5 and the 13 ball in pool now. You see, every game will end up entering this because I told you, some of the games overlap the same exact rules on a piece of paper when you're designing it. So what happens over here is the 5 ball is orange, and so is the stripe ball. And you know, they'll have to take that part of the stripe and take that off and just go play hockey with that shit. Because that shit, the middle of the stripe ball, that's the problem in this world right now. Somehow Jesus's DNA is on the 15 ball. It's amber, okay, and 1 and 5 is 6. So that DNA of 1 and 5, something to do with 105, 1, 5, and the letter O. The letter O automatically includes E, and 5 is already E. So, but you also include the 7th gate in this. So whatever 7G is for blood or DNA, you must include this now, because this had to happen in order to open the doors. The spirit adjusters only work a certain way. They don't care what number's on the top, but they still have to turn their combination the same way all the time in order to turn the gates of time. Jesus is the cause of 47. Jesus is 74. Reverse it, it's 47. Jesus, he's the clock of time. He was made of the 8th heaven of the 6th man. But you couldn't really live the 8th heaven of the 6th man, but he was living of the 8th heaven and the 6th man. Because he was living from both worlds. He was getting all the information from the other guys. But he was born down here. So he became the spirit of 76. He's a 6 and 8 like us, but he's a 6, 7, 8. We're just a 6, 8. We automatically become of one world inside of 8. We become of one world, but not just of 7. We become in one world like Jesus was. So his spirit connectors are done. He's having a bar mitzvah that nobody sees. It's going to happen on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day in the creation of man, in which July 4th, which was July 2nd, but they moved to July 4th. Once they created the first 2, you get the one spirit beanie, and you turn it this way. You have the same center, but you have 2 new covers. And now you have 2 sticks, and you turn them the other way. His bar mitzvah comes up, and for space, the number of space is 44. Whoever holds the number of 44 of the creation of 3443 holds 43 at a gun. And number 1, it was the 7th gate. If it was a 1 from the 7th gate, it's gone. A 1 from the 7th gate is gone. In the piano, it's 1, 7, 2, 7. The 2, 7 then becomes the 3, 7 with the 1 in it. The 1 and 2 go on top of each other. 2 goes on the outside, 1 goes on the inside. They move into the 3 position. Then they go ahead and she doubles up on who she is, and she slips herself out this way. So now she's 4 places taken, and the other one, 1, 3, 7, 9, but it's not really 7, 9, because if it was the other world and you get the whole world and nothing but the world, it's 7 and 9, 16. 4 times 4, because you get the whole box. 9 times 7 is 9 times 8 is 72. Between 19 and 19 and 91. And 91 is 13 weeks of 7, or all the cards in the deck. 13 of the 7 gates. A 4 Wednesday, of 4 angels, because here's the 4 angels. When man comes in, he gets the other 2. Now he's 6, and 1 is 7, but that's wrong, because you know why? He's got to be also from the octagon world. He can't just be from the 7th world, can he? Now he's got to have the incoming from up here. Is that not right? He becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But this one over here is special, because this one over here is what he makes of it, right? This design is what Google just put out. Google just put out a design online. It says 379009, 9090, okay? From the 11th day, from the 16th day of November to February 14th, that is 9090. That is 90 days from and 90 days to. When she's over there, she says you're 90 days away. But every time you come down, you come 89, 88, 87, all the way to 45. And then at 45 again, you start to go up again. And you go back to 45. It's like an hourglass. From November to February is an hourglass of love. Do you follow me and why? It's 90 days. 90 days is Y2K. When you remove the ace, the totality of 13 cards, at times 7 is the average, 7 days a week times 13 weeks is 91. When you remove the ace at the beginning, it creates only 90. No one's holding up the disc. And if they are holding up the disc, guess what? It's not your finger in it. It's somebody else's finger in your head, twisting your scratch. And it's all about the pearl. Something about that pearl who's holding all that cash. Now, I don't mean to say this if anybody watches and knows my family, but it's the pearl in our mind inside the clam where the shrimp is and the scallop. She puts a bet out for her, yet she don't scratch so well for you because she's scratching for somebody else. That's not our pearl. We got 2 balls in our head now. We have 2 pearls scratching out on the record, one blocking the other record. One can't hear, one can see. You can't hear anything. He's trying all his best. So Valentine's Day is 90 days, and it's this Valentine's Day, November 16th. But it can start as early as November 11th, because it's 11/11/22. Jesus was the first 11/11. Why? Because actual man is 44. That's why they call it the time of 44. But Jesus is 67, man is 47. But now man is 58 or 52, and Jesus is 76. Now, I'm not sure if I told you that right, but I'm telling you one thing. They're changing. There's a ring on the moon, somehow connected to this earth or other satellites that divided up through the world. When Jesus died on the cross, because we are in some kind of very scientific world, that they were able to take his energy, which is just this pineal gland, stick it on a microscope about this big, beam it up to the moon, and make everybody be born of how he was made from a crustacean on this planet and not from an angel star. Crustacean from the waters. The pigs with 2 noses from the 2 worlds. Don't eat the pigs because we can't forget how their nose was so flat, yet there were 2 sides. Ours are pointy for the triangular for that. But the pig's nose is flat. That's the biggest difference of all. He's got 2 in the center, but you don't see the pig's ear. The pig's ear is right here. His nose is round. It's actually square, because in order to shape it properly, to square it off and be the same thing, you make it square. That way, when you go from one angle to the other angle, it's larger than it appears. So you're losing the alliance on each corner. He's got 4 dots on his corner, and he's got his split hoof. He's got 4 and 2. That's a representation of Jesus Christ. J-E of Jesus. Give me something to drink. J-E of Jesus says I. But at the same time, it says 55. Now, what did I say? It says 55. 7 times 6, and 7 plus 6 is 55. He becomes 55. Why? Okay, because of the jack, J-E, okay? J says you have 10 fingers, okay? Or you have 1 ball. Or you have 1 ball is 10. Why? Because when you double in this world, you're between first and home, you're on base, you have a chance to get knocked in by the next man, and you can come and run home 2 steps because the crowd will stretch out for you just a bit, giving you that energy to go around third. And you also get that marking is when you run into second base and you run about 20 feet further and you go back to that base. That extra step that you took made you wise enough to take 1.5 more steps and get all the way home on a passed ball. This would be your 10 for Jesus. So it's a world. So if you go into a world, you take yourself from on top of the world, 3, 3, and 3, 9, 9 in the sky, and you go into the ball, 3, 3 this way, 3 this way, 3 this way, 3 this way. At the end, you got 4s, 44 space. So you went in at 3. From the 10 worlds, you become 7. J and E is 7 and 5, because now you're in the center into the E world of the electronic world where all the strings are going to be manipulated and the energy is going to be in the ball. And it's a pass ball, and it's a pass ball, and it's under, and it's over. He swung and he missed. It was the first pitch, it was the second pitch, but by the third pitch, you know what happened by the third pitch? Guess what? They stopped listening. There were only 2 holes on the exterior ends. You went back to the center, you took another pitch, and then another pitch, and did you make all 4 of them? You know what it is, right? 2 balls are here. Here's 4 balls. Now we can set up for the man in the center, and these are the discs. So Valentine's Day is coming. So they have to put Jesus on the cross. And why did they put him on the cross? Why is it 50 times 40? It's 50 times 40 because the first 37 was what the French said. The French talked about 37 and it was halfway. 37, 37. The center of the gematria tree of 1 through 36 is 74. So it's actually 36 numbers plus 1. 1 and 36 makes 37. 37 of 50 makes 13. 13 is bar mitzvah. And 37 was the whatever you needed in whatever it was in blood or in chromosomes. 36 chromosomes plus the piece of earth that you were to create who you are. But they doubled you in this world. They doubled up on almost everything that could be doubled up except for the empty can. And they can't give you more to make more out of you, but they have to separate you. They made you with double the amount, but made you somewhere else. They didn't put it all in you, but in your history story of 2 different worlds, when you come down to the end, it's what the 2 of you had and not the 1 of you. It's both of you, and that'll be the end result. But this result that we're walking in is a 1D result, but most of the numbers we're studying are already doubled and tripled. That's the same for darts. Beta goes, I'm 8. 2 times 2 for you. 2 times 3 for you. Beta creation. So now we have Valentine's Day, and Jesus is going to be bar mitzvah. We had the 50 and the 37. So now all of a sudden, 7 times 7 is 49. And if we're at the football field, it's 49 because we have the quarter in the middle of the field making the separation of the beaver. 5, the nickel. We have the nickel. We only can start off at the 45, 9 by 45. Why in the football field we can start 9 by 45? 47 is time. Mars and Saturn, part of man's mind, controlling mind, is at 46. The time gate is at 47. Creation of the Christ. CH, 3, 8. If it's 3 and 8, 8 by 6 because 6 is man, and 3 and 3 and 4 and 4 make 6 and 8. And 49 is 7, 7 of the two worlds of the seventh gate. But you take out the 8 card. You have 14 and 14, 9 and 5, 14, 10 and 4. Because you need the 10 from the J of the JE, which means 10, 10 and 5. When you add up 10 and 5, 5 is 10, 20. Plus 5 is 25, 30. That's the way it works. You count this one, and then you go 5, 10, and now you have to say 10 because it's 10 yards, but you also counted 5 and 5. So you have to count the 5 and the 5 and the 10 and the 5. That's why if you count from 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's actually 15. But if you count from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it goes up to 40. It makes it, the first time you go up to 5, it goes up to 15. Next time it goes up to 40. That's why Jesus was born, okay, on 10-4. CB codes, 2-3 creation of the crestation under the house of Mars and under the house of, and controlling houses of Saturn. But our heart of man is Mercury and Earth. But they have taken it in the talisman of the Saturn talisman and they have changed it around. They have put the 4 of Mars in the top corner where 1 is. They have taken the 9 birth of Pluto and put it where Venus was. They have taken the 3 Earth and they have put Venus where it was. They had taken the 4 Mars and put 3 where 4 Mars was. They left Jupiter where it was and they replaced number 6 Saturn with Uranus because they took Uranus into the game. They took your ass into the game. You're not part of Saturn, so they put Uranus over there. Your 7th gate is now where Saturn is. Then they took the sperm, number 1, and they put him in the 8th position because you were into this world. And then in the 9th position was number 6 because man lives in the corner. And if you want to know, there's all these new designs that are coming out that have the squares on the center corner. That's because we're there. But they're taking us over, and they're taking us over very soon. It's happening very soon. You know what might happen? Hoover Dam. Something about Hoover Dam. Something about Niagara Falls falling over. Niagara Falls falls over. The Mississippi floods. All the provinces split. Underneath the ground, the arms come up and split the whole province, and boom, bang, you're into AM, FM, Ima, Abba, Ima, Fima, Bima. You know what I'm saying there, folks? You know what I'm saying there, folks? You know what I'm saying there, folks? It's just a book. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book, Niagara Falls. If it comes out, the barrel went over, the barrel went over, the barrel went over. Well, where's the truth in the barrel, and how big is the barrel going to go over? What's going to go over this barrel this time that's going to knock this chute so far down? I know because they have to come down to 401 because the treasure of it all is Montreal, and the treasure of it all is Baffin Islands underneath. Don't you know it's frozen and it's growing in the tundra? It's the mind of all. It may not all be on the earth, but the satellite system that is set up. When we have 4 in the first position, you know what that does? 4 and 1 is 5. When we have the talisman of Saturn, 9 in the second position, 9 and 2 is 11. When we have 2 Venus in the talisman, which is a board of 9, when we have Venus in the corner, that's the third position, we make it 5 because Earth is with her. When we go in the talisman to the second row where number 3 is, where used to be number 4, we have 7 there to be Mars and Earth. Then we go to the 5, Jupiter, which is JJ. And then we go over to Saturn and we have Uranus. And then we go over to Uranus and we have Neptune. And then we go over to Mercury, where Neptune was. Imagine putting Mercury and Neptune. Is a child being born? Because that's how the setup of this planet is. That's where we're living somehow inside Jupiter through that setup, through the talisman of the Freedom Angel. And then where Pluto was, they put man 6 because 9's upside down. He's a little sperm, or he's a little energy that goes into a sperm, or something about it, the 2 stuffs that make that sperm. And he's curled up number 9 and he's ready. He says, I'm a fish and I'm going to swim out of water. And somebody sticks their red eye into that little tunnel of love and it finds one of the eggs. And they were all fighting. I'm getting it first. I'm getting it first. I'll just go back home. Because that's what happens to the sperm. It just goes back home. It becomes part of your memory. That's why AC Green didn't have any sex, because he was able to recall every single move faster than anybody else. It didn't mean he had to be the swift of hand, but he was the swift of the mind, the swift to find the number 45 angel. The same thing, 45. If we go 45 days from November 11th, we get to the day of Jesus. This AC Green knows something. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he knows. I never met him, but 3-4 years ago, somebody sent me a message and told me that AC Green, he was born on October 4th of 1963. He played apparently in 1,192 basketball games, and at the age of 38, when he got married, that was the first time. And I think 38 is when the floodgates broke open and he had a child. And 38 is Herbert Hoover, the creation of the crestation. 3 and 8, C and H, Christ heaven. The R is the ARS for Mars. R, A-R, it has an S, it's ARS. It took 3 times 6 to get 18. It was 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. That means R with the leg shouldn't be R at all. I think, man, that sometimes Y should be the Y, because the Y, if he turns over his head just a little bit, he looks like the gimel on a shrimp. No wonder my dick's so small. Thank God. Because if I got everything I wanted, I wouldn't have had anything at all, because I wouldn't be here on the best night of my life. We were talking about this. What were we speaking about? Were we talking about Valentine's Day? 9090. Look up Google 9. Look up Google 379009. 3, I think it was. Well, it was on everybody's Google. So, so 90 days. So what you add onto the 9 is 1, 0, 1. Because I changed my ways. The only thing you can get is with 9 is a 1 or a 5. You only can get a 1 or a 5 with 1. And then you get A and E. And when you get A and E, it's your hand like this. You put your hand down, you stick your finger up, you go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. You said 5, but you counted 6. Three, two, one, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 12. How did I do that? How did I get 12? I thought I had 5. But you picked it up. You grabbed it with 2 fingers at least. It's all got to mean something. You got 5 fingers. How do they get any value? They're just standing there. But if you do nothing with them in all your life, they're just going to wave hello and wave goodbye. Hello, goodbye. Part of the wings on your back, we should start to fly. FDT Florist. 39, okay? When you go bar mitzvah, this gentleman, thank you very much for telling me this, now I know why, that the bar mitzvah is because of the first 37 chromosomes that it took to make you, or 37 of something. The roulette wheel has all the numbers. In fact, let me explain it to you. If we just use the first 15 and we eliminate 1, 2, 3, okay, well, we'll just go 1 to 15. If we add up 1 to 15, it automatically makes 129. Because of the piano that stops on C, but you add A you add A to G, okay, is 8. Well, if you add them really up, you'll actually get A and G. If you add up all that, you'll get 28 grams. But if you add up B to G, you get 27 grams. And it's the 27 grams of man, I and R, that come in, but he becomes the Y. He becomes the Y with the shrimp on his head. He's got that triangular shape. We can redesign this way, this way, this way. And when you put this down here, you end up with a square. And once you get that square, you got another part of the house, and it's on the 6 key, the hat. You put one hat this way for Mercedes, one hat this way. Now you got a place to go in. Now, since this is your angle, when you put one on this side, okay, you'll have a long stretch. Your hips will be longer on your hips. But I don't want to get into that. This is the time clock. This is what's happening right now. Do you know what these army stripes are for? I should have them all the time. Every time you have army stripes, it means this is turning. It's turning. The army stripes are the distance between each side. The army stripes are the distance between each side that she turns. Now the flat side says, I'm flat. She should be turning this way. Okay? But this one here should go over this one here. So one will be turning this way and one will be turning this way. How? With our fingers. You take this finger and you stick it up the electrical cord. You take this one, right, and you put it up like that, like you're looking for the energy, okay? Or you have this one here where the disc sits on top of your hand. The disc sits on top of your hand, and then it turns. Maybe it's like that, I'm not sure. But another one has to be like this. And it does this on both sides, and then a major discs come in here, and then two more major discs come here. Not here. You can't put this disc here. My hands are here. So two come here, and I have four here, and that's your six. One in the center is seven. But in the other world, where it's the other way, because they also have to have the same thing as you, and they have to bring that world in the middle together where you have to end up. So it just takes whatever the Monopoly size is, and the Monopoly game. Did we finish with Valentine's Day? Valentine's Day is number 90. It's part of Y2K, okay? Y is 25. K is 11. 25 and 11 is 36. 1 to 36 equals 37. There's your Y2K, and it's because we're one day. Take away the ace. Add up 2 through king. 2 to 10, 11, 12, 13 is this. It makes the name a jack. 11 and 14. 4 by 25. 2 and 5 is man of earth. 13. One more 13 makes 52. So we actually come as a 1 and a 3 from God. What does it mean, 1 and 3? This is 1, 3, right here. Here's the 3 number. Here's the straight 1 number. This way. 1 goes this way. You wear him around yourself. You hold on to him. He's holding on to you. Okay? This became 2 jacks. He's the I. This is a jack that goes this way and this way. When you turn it around, okay, it becomes the 3 or 13, or you do it this way, it becomes E and D, or E. It's just, I can design this any way you want. But when you do this properly, it more or less looks like this. And I have no choice, because all I did is you have to go down in this direction, like this direction, like an antenna. Okay? I made the jack, and then I could not. This line extended all the way to here. Once you get a long line, you have to put a stick on top of it or a stick underneath it to tie it together like they tied here. Then they tie their heads together and it can't go apart. So you put the line here for the jack. Okay, you go all the way down, and here's your jack. Jack stops here. Jack stops here. But then your D. And your D, your JD, and that's how you create JD for the reason of man 6 and 4 equals to the 10, which is actually 5 and 5, and that makes 10. So automatically, if you put 5 here, you made 10 in the center, you still have the 5 on the outside. Then you get 5 more. Now that you get 5 more to him, 5 more to him, 5 more to him, and 5 more to him. So right away, you were at your 5, 10, 20. You made 25. You're 35. Now you're kicking off, because that's how far you have to go to have the kickoff. That's what comes together. So again, February, 90 days, Y2K. Y2K happened because there had to be a bar mitzvah and a birth, and it had to take from the year 2000, and 2001 is 15 months, and 15 is the number 1 for the egg, and now that you have the egg in November of 2000, November of 2001 brings on a bar mitzvah of November of 2014, but guess what? It's a bat mitzvah, and it's a girl. And it's not 2014 like I thought, like a pig. It's this year. The trumpet sounds next year. This year is when Niagara Falls, the biggest waterway in Canada, busts her belly. Or is it the Baffin Islands that bust their belly and water comes to flow, splitting and rising the islands. Atlantis comes out as each island becomes individuals, and they stand guard for thee. They stand guard on every angle for thee when they come in from the world of Saturn mixing with Mercury, and they switch in which now Saturn mixes with Earth. Saturn rules Earth, where Mars was the empty shell of man's mind. They now rule number 4, which was once number 4, but is now number 6. Number 6, Mars and Mercury now mix, but they had made another switch, like I said, the talisman that I explained to you before. Now we're looking into the early parts of November. We're looking for Niagara Falls. We're looking for waterways, things that may split apart that came dry. The Mississippi. The reason for the Mississippi, because the M connects 2 sides. Here's the M. It connects 2 sides. It starts with an I. M-I. S-S-I. When you continue the whole thing, this, if you look at the what's it called? If PPI can be 99I, which means 91, which means coming of a crustacean. This is inside the Mississippi, my friends, this design. I didn't make it, but go look up Google all the new stuff they put up now, because they tell us a story. They told me a story last night before I went to bed. I couldn't believe it, that I have to come on to here, and then I have to move this individualized this video that takes up more time than anything, and then you don't get to see it, and then if it doesn't upload, if this doesn't upload, but if this does upload, I'm coming back right at you. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Jesus is having a bar mitzvah. The ring, when you have a bar mitzvah and you become a man, it's just like you become a king. If you become a king in checkers, you get to put a man on top of you, and if you put a man on top of you, you get to go any way you want. They're going to put 2 rings around the moon. Putting 2 rings around the moon, ring around the rosy. What in the world is a rosy? How does the rosy work, and how does it move the oceans compared to the flowers and the animals on this earth? Talking about milk, I think milk is a switch, and the cat somehow turned into a cow, not a goat. The real cow is a goat, but the white and black one is a cat. It's a cat in a hat with a white and black and red hat. Dr. Seuss, Jesus Seuss, Jesus, S19. Don't you know what S does? It says, I am first, I am last. Then U says, I am first, I am last. The 21st letter. If he is first and he is last, then he is 912, December 8th. December 8th. The night I choked 22 years ago. I blew a shofar. I took a ram's horn, and I've been blowing it for 37 years. And this year is my 37th year, although I missed 1 or 2 years for time off. But I've been blowing the shofar. And on December 8th, I am baptized inside my own mind. Is there a reality of this? Why? Because look, from November 11th to the 30th, it's 19 days. Again, the number 19 that I spoke about, that it showed 19 days. It shows the 19 days. 19 is the letter S in Jesus. It's the one of the 3 crustaceans. 1 and 3 crustaceans makes 9. 1 and 3 crustaceans make 9, the letter S. Then what you have is 1 and 2 in piano. 1 and 7 made 8. 2 and 7 made 9. But this one is a 1 and 7, okay? Because it's their crustacean of their shrimp, of what they created. So it ends at the end of the month. They have the crustacean made, plugged in, and then 8 days for the first egg. And on the December 8th, which is 8 days from the 19th of the 11th, which is all inside creation, my friends, all of a sudden, we wait for the chicken's egg to be hatched on the 21st of 2013 and not the 2012. Why? Because 1 ST. ST is Christ, CH, creation, heaven. 4, 3, 1. 4 and 4 is 8. C, 1 times 3, 1 plus 3 is 4 and 7. 12 and 19. 12 and 7, 19. Then the 44 days of Barack Obama. It's all happening, my friends. This 90 days becomes 1.5. 0 in this position. 0 in this position, it becomes 1.5. When you have the when you get the 2, it's 2 times 2 and 2 times 3. So what happens when you play the roulette board and you see a double 0? Right away it tells you, okay, because 1 already played and gave up itself over to 2. 2 became automatically number 3. Here, this part over here, okay? 1 gave up. See the thing missing? 1 gave up to number 2. 2 comes in, and just on the edges, Just on the edges, here's 2 and here's 2. 2 gave up 2 more. 2 gave up 2 here, makes number 4. 2 gives up 3 now. Remember we're talking 2 and 3? 2 and 3 have to work, and it's all about 2. We don't go any further than 1, 2, 3. If you go any further than 1, 2, 3, everything doesn't work. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 and 2 is 5. Okay? No further than E. Why? Because when we go piano, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, there's never more than 3 and 2. So we actually have, it's the tallest, but it's the hands on the clock, the dice, you end up doing this to the dice, 4, and then you end up doing this to the dice. So let me think where I was. Where was I? 309th day of the year. Yes, 309th, because the 0, where 309th is, gets a 6. You have a 3 in the front, and it's 3 numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. If you had a 2 in the front, it's 2 times 2 is 4. If you have a 1 in the front, well, you can put 5, because saying 1 in the front is first, 9 is last, 5 goes into the center. 3, 6, 9. If somebody knows pi, and you see 3 numbers in a row, and the 3 numbers you must see in a row in pi right now is you have to see 1, 4, or 7 right now has to be in front. 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 6, 9. You must see these numbers right now. If you see these numbers in pi, that is when time ends. That's when Jesus is getting his tires checked. Okay, that's when they're putting on a 3rd ring. Why? 1, 4, and 7 must go in this position. If you see 1, 4, 7 with a mixture of 2, 5, 8 with a mixture of 3, 6, 9. Why? 1 times 3. Multiply everything by 3 in this world, because you put, the minute you make a triangle, your trinity makes your square and makes your whole house in your hourglass. So 1 times 3 is 3. Excuse me, everything by 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 2 and 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. 1 and 5 is 6. 3 times 8 is 24. 2 and 4 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 6 is 18. 1 and 8 is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 and 7 is 9. Right away you did your 2 and 9. You did your 1 and 7. 2 and 7 equals 8 equals 9. And that's the day of 309, 369 that Jesus is having his bar mitzvah this year. Somehow the skull bones or whatever are going to have a bar mitzvah time. I have the piano thing done out. I have the piano. I have the Monopoly. It all, here's your Monopoly board. Here's your schematics. I'm not finished it yet. You see, but then I have to put the Scrabble board because the Scrabble is part of it. But some games are on the other side. So I can't put Scrabble. But I might be able to put chess. But right now, this is what I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, 13, 13. Always 13 around. 13, 13, 13, and 13. 113, 26, 36, 49. But in all actuality, if you actually count, the first one you can't count. You can't count the first one because you're going from here to here. You have to go 1, and then you go all the way to here, it's 13. But then you have to start from the inside. By the time you get to 13, it's over here. By the time you get to 13, it's over here. By the time you get to 13, it's over here. By the time you get to 13, it's over here. And 50 times later, we did this, and finally, it's moving back into position of short line. 2,000 years it made for bar mitzvah because that's what it needed to go around the tracks 13 at a time. Oh my God. Go 13. Go 13. Stand on go. Do not count. Go. 50 times 40 cycles equals 2,001 times 13 cycle to go home. And that cycle is within the next 2 weeks. And even to confirm it, is one of my friends is 7'4", and that's what the center of all of this is all about. And his name is Ricky Freelander. Free Rick, free Rick. The other one is Steve, the Cove, the giant. 6465. Both talking about man. And guess what? His name is Steve for Stephen, an even extraterrestrial division of 11. He's on the 14th of the 11th. 6556. 6564. 65 is 11. 64 is 10. He's the whole dice. He's got his head like an ostrich standing out here with his shoulders bummed over. Always perfectly straight, like something's keeping his head up. Smarter than a whip. A little cheap, because he understands cheap, cheap, cheap is because the birds of money, the skyhawks in the sky, the eagle that they put on, the tradition to remember and always respect the pyramids of money, because money makes no sense. Makes nothing at all. It works for each other, and all it does is eat each other up. Somebody gets less, somebody gets more, but nobody actually prospers, and you lose all your time, and if you lose your money, you lose your life. You no longer can adjust. You can't accomplish. We put over here, here is Saturn. Here's the number 6. The number 6 goes here. Here's the number 4. The number 4 goes here. The 4 stays here. You don't move the 4. You leave the 4 there. You just put Saturn in the 4 spot. And you take out Mars from the 4 spot, and you put Mars where Saturn was. Now Saturn is communicating with Mercury. And where Mars is communicating with Mercury, 4-1 DNA. Now you have Saturn connecting to Earth. You now have what was used to be Pluto over here, still is Pluto. But what was here is now Venus, because it's between your legs, and you can change things in this world in a laboratory, because over here you can't create anything. Only up here, when you shove it in, you shove it up. 7 up, right? Not 7 down. 7 up, 9 out. When you have the pregnancy. So it was made in a laboratory. Hemp chemicals, hemp, marijuana, hemp. Do you know why? Because the marijuana helped to connect the brain. It helped to connect the brain. It helped to connect the brain, the marijuana, to make the even spore all the way up. You get the spores. You get the spores going into all the corners evenly because it's a circle, and you only need it in the back. Because you only need to have a man with half a brain, the rest of a brain he's using for himself, for his body. So this is how you break it up. And the only plant that grows like this is weed, is pot. And if we smoke too much pot, we're going to start to remember the old world. It's not that we're seeing things, because people put in our mind if you see something that it doesn't exist. It's what exists that doesn't exist, and what you see is reality. But because we can't share our reality, everybody is laughing instead of asking, what is it exactly? No one is interested anymore, because we moved the population so close together and we're so different, nobody can actually understand anybody to be friends with them fully at all. So I almost died on that day, and then they gave me this crazy pill that I took. But the world has to be on some rocks. It's on some rocks, the world. Right in there. So then we put this on top. We're turning in the rocks. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to turn in these rocks. Once you're stuck in the sand a little bit, the earth is not going to move. If it's stuck in the sand, and then well, it'll move just a little bit. We're inside a spaceship. This is like a big spider web. Outside of this, if you can get outside of this, if you can go 75,000 feet up, you will see the reality of this whole place. But you're not allowed to go 75,000 feet up. There are so many blades up there that can actually cut your vision in half, because all it does is crisscross, just like the paper I write on. And the smaller the paper, the more harder it is to crisscross. And when you put the diamonds inside the other diamonds, you put one this way, you put one that way. I can do 3D only because the squares told me how to do it wrong, which meant right. You know why? Well, wrong is 3 out of 4, right? You got one wrong, but it's 4 out of 4, and 4 out of 4, and 4 out of 4. But if you go 4 out of 4, you're missing space to put another wire, because now you're blocking it from that angle. So the actual space is of what the marijuana plant does when it grows. And the marijuana plant is the hemp that connects the two worlds together. They don't want you to have it because it puts green inside your head. We're running all with yellow. Everybody knows yellow snow's no good. Everybody knows that in the end of the season, the leaves turn yellow and red. Well, where's the red but in our blood? Why shouldn't it be any deeper into our hearts than what we have right now? They're putting yellow in us. We need the orange and the green. We play pool. We have 1 and 3, which is 1 and 9, which is 3 and 11, because man is from 3 of creation. As he puts the talus around his neck, he puts the little thing through his head. He sticks out his head, and he goes, we came here without some wings. We snipped our wings. We came on down. We flew down. This around our neck, because it was however our mouth was going to go is where we were going to be sent. Tensed. 2 times. 2 different worlds. The pineal gland, the best of all our friends, the communicator that communicates within our mind, the one who's at home plate, lying in a bed, just dreaming until you're going to come home. But he's tired of waiting. He's tired of waiting because you're not happy. And he's tired that you're always sad. But you never show that you're sad, because it really doesn't matter, because you're never really mad. But you're mad because people make you sad. But I'm glad, because I know how to treat everything. But it still makes me sad. But it's now, no matter how hard I try, I still make people sad. They think I'm doing wrong. I know I'm doing right. I try with all my might. I give up at all fights. I never fight. There's no use to fighting. The best creation of any discussion is a conversation that ends up with you're first and I'm second. You always have to have a referee between you and the second party. I have a referee between me and my own self. Whatever I may say may be wrong. But whatever I try to say, I do not try to say it against anybody at all. I say to say it all, but not to anybody at all. I tell you all the story if you want to know. Here is the story. So we still have the monopoly. Then we have this. Then we have the football field. Number 26, we start in the roulette. From 37, we come out of the dugout. Number 37, you're in the dugout. We got 2 fields. The fields, maybe it's a golf field. We got 999 on the golf field, but it's 9 and 9. But you go out 4, you hit onto the 5th one, you come home 4. So we got to figure out what cloud we're under. Are we under cloud 9? Where do we go? We're a piece over here. Here's our space between of this world that doesn't move and this world that doesn't move. It's a hockey puck. The hockey puck's on ice while you're in. They slip that hockey puck in here and here, and this is the world that moves. You got 2 pucks, right? It's flat, and it turns this way, and there's something on the inside. It's like an H and an I that's maneuvering some kind of item that has 9 sides of 9 dots each, which is 81 Venus, because Venus, guess what, is an electronic mouse. She's in all of us, but they're controlling her with the ways they put I, and I of the Titanic, and they tied them up and put them away. Frozen hell forever. So this is 37. You start not from in your end zone, but when you start time, you go back to your end zone as deep as you can go, because the ball has been kicked into your end zone. You're starting off, the foot is on the line, and you run all the way out to the 37, which is the top of the roulette wheel, and you lie. 47, 47, 47 is 94. Cloud 9 of 4. Cloud 9 of 4. You have 9 squares. You have 9 squares, or 9 sections. You need the 4 dots, because that's what holds you in. This 9 goes on top of this. It becomes 20, and whatever these 4 dots are worth, 20 becomes 20, 20 plus the life. He lives in this over here. So he would be 47 and 47. That's 94. 49, 94, 7 by 7. 37 and 37 is 74. The gematria tree of 5, 14, 23, and 32 equals to 74. Times 1.5 is 111. Now you're standing on the top of the 110th floor. If we take this out, 37, 13, 13, it becomes 37. It'd be 37, 6, 22, 6, 37. 3 and 7 is 10. You automatically get, what would you get over here with 3 and 7 is 10? 21 and 10 is 31. Because of 3, 3 times 2, that's what you're multiplying. It's either 1 times you want to be the 5 center. Why have the 5 center? Because you're actually the 10 center. 5 from this side, 5 from this side. Because a square is a hand, it's the palm you can put it on. It's a lot more when you're picking something up. But in this world, when you stick this up, he becomes number 3. Everybody else is 2 and 1 to make up what the value of the big guy is. The territorial house that we are in, the divided caps of Jack bringing 1 valet. In between 2 hats, 1 valet goes up, the other valet comes down. We make the 2 worlds, we place the eye on the top, because this is the eye that brings in from the first heart to slip and slide into 2 worlds that slide back into 1 of where man lives. Now he comes out over here, or he comes out over here. Jesus was born over here in the laboratory. But we were coming over here from the 7th gate. Because once you drop this down one more and flip this over, it becomes an X. And that shows our true value of life, whether or not Jesus came from up here. This one would be down over here. You see what the jack does? It holds the egg. You see it's got its electronic brain in there? When you put these jacks together, they start creating letters, X and X. So you got jack here and jack here, each one holding a ball. J is 10. Here's your 1, here's your U, here's your 10. The 10 is inside the circle. The circle is a hole. Well, put a circle around the football field. That would be a hole. Right now you're golfing. Right now football, it's just a stripe. It's just a stripe. Put a circle around it. Now you got the whole thing. Like the baseball field. Isn't that what it's like? Like the baseball field? Everybody gets to go out. All 9 get to go on the field. They look in the field. It's the sperm. He's swimming around. He's hanging on. He's got the ball. Warren Cromartie. Is that number 9? Which place? What are you, the pitcher's mound? Who's going up number 9? Who's in the field? Who's the 9th position? Left field or right field? Does it matter which side of the brain you think? As long as the end result brings peace, because that brings you back together. Raphael 7286. This is the I. Why? Because it's what got you in here. There's an X here and an X here. You go into over here into this world and play. This is both the eyes that can see from both ends, and then underneath you make an eye here and an eye here. Now you got I and I and I and I. 2 eyes this way, 2 eyes this way, and you play in the world that's sitting like this. The pigskin football, 3 sides of the pigskin. How many laces? That shows you, if you take and spin that ball, the size of that ball will be the size of our world. If you take the basketball and square it off and then spin that basketball, that'll be the size of the other world. If you take that hockey puck and put it 3 high and then spin it all around, that'll be the size of the other world. Raphael 7286. I'm going to come back and do something else. I did show you the hockey puck, the hamburger part. See the way the stripe is on it? This is the underneath world. An I is created from the jack. So when you have jack and it's the 10th letter, right? All you have to do is the 10th letter is either that way or it's this way. Once it's 10, you get to go 5 this way, 5 this way. First down. You understand? 5 this way, 5 this way, 10 yards, first down. So now you have the whole thing for jack, the egg, and then this egg becomes 20 plus what they attach to it. The egg is worth 20. The jack is worth 10, but the egg is worth 20. Now he's 30. So now he has to take this and reshape it. He has his T. The T spells. The 20th letter is the T. Raphael 7286. And the constellation of Pegasus will take on something else. I'm going to do the piano and show you how the numbers in the piano. And if I can get some people that we can put this all together, because we have to put the piano into the baseball, we have to put the piano into the Monopoly board, we have to take out the roulette board, and the roulette board is actually one linear, so we'd have to sort of build it into a triangle and maybe into a rectangle. Are we playing rectangles or squares? But what's the difference? Once you flatten everything out and round it off, you know, take out a ruler, and then we spin the ball until we use up all the pieces of time inside. Thank you for watching. 7286. November 11th to the 16th, my friends. This is not good. This is not good. Thank you for watching.